out with the uh uh. What's up, America? What's up, world? I'm a little excited about the intro video. Shouts out to Marcus, affectionately called Meerkats. uh, yeah, Marcus Glover. Thank you. Intro video on point. Um, Updating a lot of stuff, trying to look official. Feeling like a champion, just in case anyone forgot. Um, what up? What up, world? What up, America? Didn't want to forget to say that because I've been doing that for every episode now for some reason. um, because all of America is watching and wants to know about how my prep is going. It's going really good. Um, how am I going to segment this? Let's just get right into the results. Okay. So this is my second full week of a full on deficit, full training, 6 days of training. Um, and there were a few bumps in the road, like I said last episode. Looking into this week, I had a few social events on my calendar. Had a retirement party, I had a luncheon, I had a birthday party, and on Thursday there was a work Christmas party, and yada 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 yada. Still got in the gym 6 days this week. Um, didn't exactly hit all of my meals. That's for sure. I'll put those numbers up later. And another change that I was going to make coming into this week was going from 3 meals to 4 meals. Shot that down day one. Yeah, I tried to get all my meals in on Monday, and with that much fiber, I think I was eating like 40 to 45 grams of fiber. I just felt slow and bloated and gross all day. Um, so nixed that day one, uh, and went with 3 meals the rest of the way. But yeah, let's show you the numbers. So I'll put these up, and it's a little bit less of an inflammatory color this week. It's neon green. I alternate between a calming neon green and a incendiary neon yellow, just so I can keep track of segments. And in this segment, you'll see that despite everything, it was actually a pretty good week. Looks like I left my cursor in one of those boxes. Should probably fix that. Oh well. So from the 5th, which was Monday, so these are Monday to Monday measures, but they're only indicative of the 7 days in the middle. Because I woke up Monday to these numbers, and then I woke up the following Monday to these numbers. It's not like I'll be eating or training before I took these measurements. Just a word to the wise: if you're gonna want to track your body composition or any metric, scale, weight, waist size, you name it, you always want to do it in the same condition. So if you can control for that, you should, because water weight can fluctuate across the day. You can get stressed at certain points of the day. You can sweat a lot and your clothes can get heavier. There's a lot of factors here. So all these measures are taken cold first thing in the morning, right after I go to the bathroom, because it gives you a little bit more of an accurate read on things. So from the 5th to the 12th, dropped another 2 pounds. So that is still over. I had this problem last week, where my deficit was way over. I wanted it to be a 20% deficit. It ended up being a 63% deficit based on the numbers, and I ended up losing, I believe, over 4 pounds. This week it wasn't as drastic, even though I ended up under eating more than I wanted to. I'll get into that in a second. So I lost another 2 pounds, so that's still, over 1%. My ideal weight loss rate is 0.7% at this point, because that's going to allow me to keep the most muscle, theoretically, but I'm still gaining muscle, even in a slightly more drastic deficit. So down an extra 2 pounds, which exceeded my goal by 0.7. So my body fat percent as well went down somewhat significantly. So I was just over 20% starting the week, and now I'm just under 19%, which is great. Again, my measurement tool isn't 100% industry standard, but it's indicative of a trend. And what I do, I take 5 sets of measurements and take the average. So it's a little bit more of a ballpark than an actual number, but it's showing me that I'm going in the direction I need to be. So with that drop in body fat, I ended up losing just over 3 pounds of fat, which likely also includes water in there somewhere, fluctuations, and I'll get into that in a minute, which is one reason why I'm trying to change my template. Those fluctuations kind of piss me right off. And then lean mass actually went up by about a pound, which is great, showing me that my efforts in the gym are not being wasted. A nice quote unquote recomp effect where you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. If people tell you it's impossible, refer them to this video, and I will gladly smile as they look over these results. So my waist also went down a half an inch, and I just expect that to keep continuing in that direction as well. But like I said, with the weight fluctuations, so coming off of these protein-sparing modified fast days, which are Sundays for me, which I'm going to remove, but I'll get into my rationale in a second. Coming off of those days, you see on Monday, the original Monday, I was 181.6, and by Wednesday, I was back up into the 186 realm. And that, while at the end of the week, it shows that based on the scale weight, it didn't really change anything. I still exceeded my mark. That was a little bit disconcerting for me. I don't like experiencing those wacky variations of water weight on a week-to-week basis. So I'm playing with the idea of taking that modified fasting day out and just training throughout the week. That would allow me to get more calories. That would allow me to slow my deficit down a little bit, which I think would be a little bit more prudent. I don't want to continue to exceed this margin of weight loss rate for too much longer. So that's the plan here. Take out those fasting days, one per week, and just replace it with a straight up 80% deficit or 80% 80% maintenance day. So I could just get a more true read on how the diet is impacting my body. Because right now, how I feel is just like, okay, through the week, it's going like this, and then on Sunday, plummets, and then like it's a weird roller coaster. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Like, so I understand over time that that'll keep going down the way I want it to, but it's a little bit too drastic for me at this point. I think it has an application if you're trying to encourage more weight loss, which would be common for a lot of people. But I guess I'm in a luxury problem right now where I'm losing too much weight. Don't want to do that. So let me take that graphic off and replace it with this one. This is how my diet was set up through the week, and came in really hot Monday and Tuesday, 2,500 calories, and those were the 2 days that I was really able to control the most. And those days landed me back up in terms of scale weight and left me feeling a little bit sluggish. So the change I'll make there is I'm reducing carbs by a little bit, I'm reducing fiber by a little bit, and it's also going to be easier to spread these totals out throughout the week since I'm adding that additional training day. So the idea behind the modified fast that I introduced a couple vlogs ago, is you're basically creating a bigger deficit on one day where you're not training because you don't have any stimulus to grow, and then you can therefore push back kind of like an allowance, more calories to days where you do train so you could better utilize them. So like these first couple days, if this week went perfect, I would have been eating 2,500 calories every single day up until Sunday, which would have been about 700 calories, and then that averages out to, whatever it may be, 23, 2400. That didn't happen. So I feel like including that protein sparing modified fast day where you have a really big deficit, even if you miss one day during the week, you're probably going to lose more weight than you wanted to. So I want to remove, excuse me, I want to remove that possibility for error, especially in this block of time coming up between now and Christmas. I literally have nothing to do, which is great because I'll be hammering out stuff for my website. I'll be studying for my cert and just training my ass off. So these 2 weeks here are going to be major in terms of projecting how a 7-day-a-week training schedule will go. And just a quick wrap on the diet. I actually reduced the amount of calories per day that I was taking in compared to my first week. So it was really interesting to note that in that first week I had more calories, but it ended up being a bigger deficit. And now this week my projected maintenance was, I'm not sure of the exact figure, but I incurred a smaller deficit while eating less calories. So this is adaptive thermogenesis in front of your eyes. We're seeing that my maintenance level of energy intake is decreasing with all of the factors that determine my metabolism, which is body weight, lean mass, thermic effect of food, exercise-induced energy expenditure, and so all of these things trend downward in a caloric deficit. So what this is showing me is that, yes, I am in a deficit because I am losing weight, and my metabolism is adapting accordingly. So this shows me that I have a relatively adaptive metabolism because if I saw that I kept my calories or reduced calories, say I reduced calories from last week coming into this week and lost even more weight than I did last week, that would mean that I'd have a very static metabolism because my maintenance is still very high, would have been very high. Say that, so like my first week I was coming in at like 186, ended the week down like 5 pounds, and my maintenance would have been 40,000 calories, but I really ate, 20,000. So then this next week, if I would have eaten, 20,000 again and lost another 5 pounds, that would have showed me that my maintenance is still at that same level. That's not the case. My maintenance decreased, which not exactly in lockstep with the amount of calories that I decreased, but it's just a good thing to note for me to know whether I have an adaptive versus a static metabolism. And if none of that made sense to you, I didn't really expect it to, but if you want me to explain it to you again, I'd be happy to. Hit me with a comment or something because I'm better with repetition. Sometimes words in my head don't make it to my mouth the way I want them to. So, any hoozles, still have this green stuff up for you. On Thursday, you see at the Christmas party, I had some drinks, so factor that in. It was probably about 600 calories of alcohol, and yes, boys and girls, alcohol does have calories. A gram of alcohol has 7 calories, so it's more than a gram of carbohydrate or a gram of protein, and just under a gram of fat. So, yeah, that doesn't go into thin air. So you factor that in, and then across the week, I was averaging about 80 grams of fat, which is not anywhere near where I wanted it to be. 140 grams of carbs, which is also not anywhere near where I wanted to be, and 160 grams of protein, which is fine. That's the one metric that I think I'll hit consistently no matter what. But as you can see, those middle 2 days, so Monday, Tuesday, like I said, came in really hot, had quite a bit of carbs, which also could have led to the water weight that I experienced on those days that reflected in scale weight. But the Wednesday, Thursday, after the parties or whatever, I'm just left to having a protein shake, and that leaves you not only way under your total macros for the day, but in specific categories. And this specifically impacted me because I was making an effort to push more carbs to the pre-bed meal in order to help sleep quality. So there's an app I really recommend. It's called Sleep Cycle, and it kind of tracks your movement on your mattress at night. You're going to want to put it in airplane mode because you don't want to sleep next to Wi-Fi all night. At least I don't. But it's I've been using it since I've been putting carbs closer to bedtime, and on those first 2 days where I really had a good idea of, or really could nail that, actually have my carbs before bed. Um, my sleep quality was anywhere from like 75 to 85%, which is decent. Then on these other days, wrecked. Absolutely just like, okay. So Wednesday, Thursday, and what was it, Saturday, those days that I overate the most, I was just rolling around, laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I would wake up a bunch of times, not even to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And for the life of me, couldn't figure it out. I take melatonin at night. I block blue light with nerdy ass glasses. I turn off all my screens an hour before bedtime. I keep a consistent bedtime. It wasn't that wasn't contributing to improved sleep quality like it should. So another reason to train every day and not utilize a fasting protocol is because I believe, or at least anecdotally, we know that a higher fat or higher protein diet can reduce sleep quality a little bit as opposed to a higher carb diet, and especially an acute high carb meal pre-bed. So, and also, just in my experience, when you're in a pretty drastic deficit throughout the day, it makes it harder to sleep at night. I'm not sure if that's cortisol. I'm not sure if that's just your body like trying to stimulate you to be like, hey, asshole, go eat because you're really hungry right now. Um, Not sure what the mechanism behind that is, but I've found that every day where I eat a lot less than I plan on, I'm staring at the ceiling for 3 hours. So that kind of shot my sleep quality for a few days this week. So I figure if I could get more carbs pre-bed consistently every day of the week, that's going to pay dividends in terms of sleep quality because sleep quality has a spillover effect into everything. And so if I'm still gaining muscle and losing fat without having a great night's sleep every night of the week, um, it begs the question: how much can I progress when I am nailing that? So that's the goal. Let me get that off your screen. Um, so yeah, that's where we're heading into next week. I believe I'm trying to add roughly 200 to 300 calories on a per day average. Um, It'll come out to just over 105 grams of fat, just about 210 grams of carbs, and right around 145 grams of protein. Still trying to hit that 40 grams of fiber mark, but I'm taking it back down to 3 meals a day. I shifted those back slightly to accommodate a slightly earlier training session because um, I'm still sleeping 8 hours or 9 hours a night, excuse me, or trying to at least. But I moved my bedtime up to 11, moved my wake time down to 8 a.m., and that's going to create a larger window between when I wake up and when I train, which is something that I want to do because I basically have two things that I'm really focused on right now. Um, my website and my content being A1, and this is outside of training. And then the second will be my NASM certification, which I'll be testing for next month. But so I'm basically moving my training up in the evening. It's still going to be in the evening, right around 2:30, um, to basically cut my day in half. So like I'll wake up, do website stuff, do coaching stuff, go to the gym, come back, study, go to bed, rinse, repeat. And moving training up earlier in the day would also allow me to actually take caffeine again and pre-workouts again. Hey, Dad. So this is what I'll be using. Free plug party. Stimulate. I've had my eye on this for maybe 3 to 5 years now, ever since I was reviewing supplements routinely for supplementreviews.com. And this is basically like crack in a can from what I could from from the reviews that I've read. And up top it even says like, bro, half scoop it, like don't die. Um, half scooped it yesterday on an empty stomach, and it was a pretty mild effect. So maybe I'm just an outlier. I will be going full scoop. But I do, I just tend to enjoy my workout a little bit more when I have that little bit of bump, little bump pre-workout. Just get me amped, get me going in the gym, especially now that I streamline my training routine. Just kind of slam this and get to work. And then it benefits that having that training session earlier because I can afford to have that caffeine. If I'm still training late night at 6:30 and I have this, I'm not going to sleep, and I already have problems with sleep as is. Stu, speaking of training change, I'll put that up now. Um, this is like a very streamlined look at what a 7-day split would look like. And if you like pretty graphs or tables, this is what you would get if you would be one of my clients. So as you'll see here, um, three sessions, an A, a B, and a C. I'm doing 4 exercises in each. I'm keeping it right around 13 total sets per session, and they're all full body. And full body, the essentially full body every day, but I'm training every body part 2 times out of every 3 days. Um, and so I've been slowly adding volume in the form of sets, but now across the week I'll be averaging right around 18 sets per muscle group per week, which is right around the threshold for um, intermediate trainees, is what we see in the research. There is good reason to think that you should reduce your volume in a deficit because you don't have quite the same recovery capacity, and nitrogen balance decreases with um, uh, caloric restriction. But that's not exactly a one-to-one. So, and people could over time accommodate to a higher training volume in a deficit. And I feel like with the way that my lifts are progressing still, um, it's warranted. So you'll see that like with um, my lead lifts, they'll all be 4 sets. My primary lifts are all 4 sets. Throwing high bar squats and trap bar deadlifts back in there because I'm basically past my 2 to 3 week grace period of just trying to relearn the motor patterns, and both of those movements allow me to stay much more vertical. They just feel a whole heck of a lot different and better for my lower back. Never really high bar squatted in high school because um, you could manhandle a little bit more weight with a low bar if you just kind of like lean into it and do whatever you need to do to get that weight up. It kind of reduces the range of motion, but that's not the point anymore. Same thing with trap bar deadlift. That's really keeping my center of gravity back um, and allowing me to keep my torso vertical, and as opposed to leaning forward, creating that shearing force. Basically, removing shearing force uh, from my routine is kind of a precautionary measure to keep my back healthy. Um, you'll see on here it says ABT test every now and again. If you do sign up as a client, I have a video explaining all that, but that's about a half an hour video. So the Cliff Notes version is that's a testing protocol to pair the amount of reps that I'm doing for that exercise to my muscle fiber type. It's very individualized, very specific, and I'm doing that for every exercise. I've already done it for squats, so I just go every time I do session A, I do the next exercise, ABT testing. And the reason you only see one set listed next to benchmark is because that's really the only set I care about improving. Um, in this scheme, take high bar squats for example. So last week I did my testing and found that at 80% of my projected 1 rep max is about 260 pounds. I did 8 reps with 80%. Okay, So now we have that as your benchmark. And next time you do session 8, you're trying to add weight and hit that rep target of 8. So this today when I go into the gym, I'll put 265 on the bar, try and get to 8. And in the subsequent sets, I'll still do the sets afterwards, but I won't necessarily be tracking the reps or writing them down. I'm really only concerned if that set where I'm freshest exceeds the previous benchmark. So if this week I hit 265 by 8, that means next later this week I'll be able to go to 270. If not, if I do 265 by 6 or 7 or whatever, that's fine. Just as long as I'm progressing upward within a given weight. Like if I were to go in today and put on 260 on the bar and only get 6 reps, then I would deload. That's a reactive deload because clearly the adaptation that I wanted didn't take place between last time I squatted and now, and I'm not actually stronger. So that's just a little nuance in my training and why I really only care about that first set. So I'll get that off your screen now as well. So yeah, that's where things are moving. That's where things are going now. It's gonna be a fun week, fun couple of weeks leading up to Christmas. Gonna try and hit 13 at least days in the gym in a row. Keep an eye out for some content. I'm coming out with that sleep quality article hopefully by the end of the week, and major key alert, coming out with a newsletter. Newsletter free to sign up, and when you do sign up, you'll get a free PDF highlighting the 3 biggest mistakes keeping you from your ideal physique. And number 3 is the best one. Trust me, these are very commonly overlooked mistakes that people make. Yeah, newsletter, PDF. I'll be coming out with more content. In the newsletter, you can look forward to the latest prep vlog, the latest of my content on the blog, the latest, what else? What I recommend, not just from me, but from other sources, like what I intake during the weeks, just kind of share that with you. Have it be another kind of free plug party type deal. And ways to follow me, and also information about my coaching services. I still have openings. So if you want to work with me, I'm still offering that half off first month deal. And would love to work with you. Would love to create some really crazy neon colored spreadsheets with you. So yeah, until next time, go forth and prosper, or whatever the cool kids say these days.